Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie, 29, and I want to share a story that may hit home if you've ever watched a single bad choice unravel everything you once held dear. Not long ago, I thought I was living the dream, married to Lucas, 31, and building a future filled with warmth, stability, and love. For 2 years, our life together felt solid. But then, everything collapsed in a way I never saw coming. The morning it happened, I woke up to silence. Uneasy, heavy. The house, once humming with love and laughter, felt hollow. Furniture, gone. Electronics, gone. Even our framed photos, gone. At first, I thought we'd been robbed. But nothing was broken. The doors were locked. Everything was too neat. Then I saw the note on the counter, written in Lucas's familiar handwriting. Happy New Year, Natalie. May your fresh start be kinder than I was. My knees gave out. I sank into a chair, heart pounding, unable to process the fact that the man who had stood by me through everything had simply vanished. To understand how it all unraveled, I need to take you back. How it began. 3 years earlier, I was an intern at a mid-sized consulting firm when I met Lucas. He was a project supervisor, smart, grounded, quietly confident in a way that drew people in. We kept things professional for a while, but the pull between us was undeniable. After working closely on a few projects, we began dating. 8 months later, during a snowy mountain getaway, he proposed. It felt like forever was ours. Marriage sped life up. Lucas landed a high-paying job at a rival firm, and we bought a bigger house in the suburbs. We talked about kids, travel, renovations. The future looked bright. My own career was taking off, too, though with more stress than I expected. I started bringing work home, staying up late, and drinking more than I should. What began as a glass of wine to unwind became entire bottles, night after night. Lucas noticed. At first, he brought it up gently, then with more concern. I brushed him off, told him I was fine. I wasn't. It escalated until one night, I blacked out completely. That was my wake-up call. I entered rehab and took 6 months off work. It was the hardest period of my life. But Lucas never left. He supported me through everything, never once threatening to walk away. That's who he was. When it changed, when I returned to work, things felt different. My new manager, Ethan Carter, was in his mid-40s.
Charismatic. Charming.
He had a knack for making people feel seen. Lucas didn't like him. He said Ethan was manipulative. He warned me to be careful. I waved it off as unnecessary jealousy. Ethan seemed harmless, even encouraging. When a colleague went on maternity leave, I started working longer hours directly with Ethan. We were often the last ones in the office. Late-night emails turned into late-night texts. Lucas noticed. He said I was always on my phone, always tied up with work. With Ethan, I reassured him, told him it was nothing. But that wasn't true. One night, after a heated argument at home, I told Lucas he needed to trust me or give me space. Looking back, that was when the cracks began to spread. The mistake. Soon after, Ethan began opening up about his personal life. One late evening, after the office had emptied, he brought me a coffee and asked how I was really doing. I broke down. I confessed how strained things had become with Lucas. How heavy the guilt was. How hard it was to pretend everything was fine. He listened quietly. Then, I made a terrible mistake. In a moment of raw emotion, I hugged him, and before I knew it, I kissed him. It wasn't passionate. It wasn't romantic. It was confused. Messy.
Weak.
The regret hit instantly. We pulled away quickly, both ashamed. We agreed to keep our distance, to pretend it never happened. But silence didn't undo the damage. Whispers started at work. People noticed our closeness. The inside jokes. The subtle glances. Eventually, those rumors reached Lucas. One evening, he confronted me, demanding the truth. I lied. I told him it was just gossip. That nothing had happened. I thought if I buried it deep enough, we could move on. The party that ended it all. By December, I was desperate to fix things. I cooked his favorite meal. Planned a quiet evening. promised to transfer to another team once the project ended. Lucas seemed to soften. We agreed to start fresh in the new year. When the company's New Year's Eve party rolled around, Ethan suggested Lucas come along. I agreed, thinking it might ease the tension. That night, the drinks were flowing. I hadn't touched alcohol in over a year. But I told myself one glass wouldn't hurt. One glass turned into 5. Lucas tried to intervene. I brushed him off, slurring that it was just New Year's. I ended up seated between him and Ethan. And then everything blurred. The aftermath. The next morning, I woke up alone. Lucas was gone. Everything of his gone. Every trace of him erased. The note sat on the counter. I read it over and over, unable to breathe. In shock, I messaged Ethan, desperate to understand what had happened. He told me Lucas had tried to stop me from drinking. I'd resisted. We argued loudly. At midnight, I toasted with Ethan, hugged him, and kissed him again, this time in plain view. Lucas saw everything. That was it. I sat frozen as it all came rushing back. I had destroyed the one relationship that had survived addiction, rehab, and everything in between, all because of a moment of weakness and wounds I had never truly healed. What I live with now. Months later, I live alone in a silent apartment. Empty walls. No photos. No laughter. Lucas has never reached out. And I doubt he ever will.
I'm sober again.
But the emptiness I feel isn't just from giving up alcohol. It's from losing the only person who stood by me when no one else would. Trust is fragile. It isn't just the betrayal that breaks it. It's the lies, the distance, the selfish choices we justify in our pain. If someone loves you at your lowest, don't give them a reason to question you at your best.